illustrated with him.
And welcome back to the LEC Misfits Fine Happiness here in Day 2 as they convincingly take down the Mad Lions and Neon. Thank you so much for joining me after this game. Congrats on taking them down, especially after what happened yesterday. So my first question would be, what is the mental process to just bounce back and not focus on the shenanigans that happened at the G2's Nexus yesterday and win so convincingly today?
Okay, so first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, bouncing back from the game yesterday was honestly kind of hard because, well, we lost the game in a very, let's say, the disappointing fashion. So, but like we kind of knew that the game on our end was not very good and we didn't really deserve to win that game anyway. So we were like, okay, we can bounce back from this. And I think we did do that pretty well.
I always tend to say that it's much easier to learn from the defeats than the victories because you see what you can change. But what was the main problem yesterday in the game against G2, especially throughout the end?
Okay, so first of all, we picked a very weak early game, and G2 actually played their early game very well. They kind of ran us around the map, and from that point on, they should have been able to actually end the game without like any mistakes, right? Because it should have been really easy for them with the lead that they got. But unfortunately for them, they threw somehow. I don't know how. And suddenly we were winning. But then we had this very unfortunate call at their Nexus. Or like not rather a call, but like like we were just too excited, I guess. And half of the people are like trying to like end the game, and half people are like screaming to fight, and it's like really chaotic and really sad what happened. So
mixed communications, let's say. But let's leave the sad stories behind us. You crushed Mad Lions today, and really convincingly, as I stated earlier. And you had a lot of responsibilities with your Jinx, especially. Can you talk me through your role this game, but more specifically within this Misfits lineup and Mersa on the bot lane?
Okay, so this game, my role, I guess, was AD carry.
Yeah.
And I just did my thing, right? Like we kind of won bot lane pretty hard, I would say, in the matchup. And I don't know, it was kind of like an easy game because we were just like winning everywhere, and yeah, we could like take it from there. And when it comes to this Misfits lineup, well, I am actually one of the oldest people on the lineup right now, which is kind of weird because I always considered myself like the rookie player or the young player, but that is no longer the case. I actually work with rookies now. I have 2 rookies under my belt, and it's a lot of fun because I can see myself in them. Like I can see them doing the same mistakes I did. I can like I just see myself in them, right? So yeah, I'm kind of the adult now on the team, and like playing on this team honestly is really fun because we have like so many different personalities, and yeah, like when it comes to my role on the team, I guess I'm like someone who makes sure that we're all like behaving properly and like keeping our emotions in check, because sometimes they do like get unleashed, like maybe as we could see yesterday in the G2 ending game.
The moderator, let's say, within this Misfits lineup. One last question for you that I have. You said that now you're one of the oldest players and the most experienced players within this lineup. Any words of wisdom that you've been able to share with these rookies, maybe? If you can give me some examples.
Any words of wisdom? Well, I guess to not take like losses too like seriously, or like to not try and okay, most of all, I think it's very important to basically not care what anyone else thinks about you outside of your team. Like you only play with your teammates, and therefore like anyone else's opinion doesn't ultimately matter. So I'm just like making sure that my players don't get influenced by anyone else, right? Because it ultimately just doesn't matter. Because in the past I would be influenced a lot by like comments or such things, but I came to the realization that none of this actually matters, right? So I guess those are like my words of wisdom. Just play your game and be the best teammate you can be, and you'll do great, you know.
Fantastic, and I'm sure they're in good hands with you, Neon. Thank you for the interview. That's all for us on this side of the stage. I wish you the best of luck in week 4, and once again, congrats on taking down Mad Lions. And we're gonna move on to the next game. This will be Rogue versus Vitality. Stay tuned.
Rogue remain undefeated by beating Fnatic yesterday and are now being approached by a new challenger, the revitalized team of Vitality, who themselves are on a 3-game winning streak. Let's start by highlighting Rogue, who really surprised yesterday against Fnatic. They are the best team in the LEC. They've never won 6 games in a row, and they took down Fnatic in emphatic fashion.
I loved watching this game. The pressure that we saw from Malrang in the early stages, playing through both the solo laners, punishing the aggression that we saw come out from the opposition. And as well, I mean, Trymbi roaming up with this Dagda, the engaged Dagda. I loved every minute of this game.
Yeah, we discussed it at the top of show, right? If you're a jungler that has all these 3 pushing lanes going into you, you can abuse them because you can actually get good ganks off, but doing it alone, not so fun. Let's get 1 lane ahead, mid lane. Larssen's ahead, now I have a friend, I can hold his hand. Let's go bot, let's get bot ahead. Perfect, now Trymbi can come with me. Now we're 3-man units running around the map, and eventually you have game states like this where anytime they push a side lane, you have full control of the river.
And I love that they actually came in prepared for Fnatic. One of the things that you see often with Fnatic is push sides, and then they'll try and take quick routes through the jungle to group up for that death ball that we talked about. Rogue were ready, consistently getting vision control down. You can see it on your screens right here, catching Wonder as he starts to rotate through. It was so well orchestrated by Rogue.
It really, really was. And not only did Rogue execute on their team composition, they surprised Fnatic, they surprised my Analyst, they surprised Selfmade, because so many people were anticipating Fnatic to win. Now, the question I have is, against Vitality, who will be surprised if either team wins? Because Vitality themselves, they bounced back after going 0-3. They've won 3 games in a row, and yes, against SK yesterday, not the strongest of competition, they looked good in that victory and are going to be fired up to take down the undefeated Rogue.
Yeah, last 2 weeks they've looked absolutely dominant. Not even a crack in the armor, I think, in the recent games that they've played. I think Rogue will be the last test for them, because I think Rogue is the best team in the LEC right now. In best of ones, they look fantastic. And if they do take down Vitality here, then wow, Rogue is absolutely undisputed, just popping off this split.
There's no doubt about it. I think in particular, I want to zero in on Perkz. I think his hands finally arrived after being shipped from NA and arriving late.
Oh yeah, they have that travel difference, right?
They did. Yeah, exactly. Time zone difference, travel issues. But Perkz is the type of player that rises to the occasion. Now, being tested against Rogue with the likes of Alphari and Selfmade, this is a team where the individual players, Caedrel, you were talking so much about how scary they can be. They are going to want to not only beat Rogue, they want to crush Rogue.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they want to come in, make a bold statement, right? Take down Rogue, go 4 wins in a row, be the best team in the league because they've taken down Rogue now, who beat Fnatic. So that's a little bit of bragging rights there. I mean, when you look at the roster across the board, it's just individual firepower in every lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's the individual power, but it's also how that interpersonal thing has been linking up as well. And that's been the big standout for me, is when we're seeing them actually moving around the map together. I mean, Perkz got the 2 kills off of that roam top yesterday. It feels like so many of the pieces are coming together. Labrov even supporting Selfmade on some of these roams. The timing's a lot better. Carzzy's not falling behind it as a result on the bot side. Everything is just linking up well with this team now.
They really, really are. I'm going to make a bold statement, potentially, so please catch me. This is a trust fall. I'm going to say that Malrang is thus far the season MVP of the LEC 2022. So I want to first get an opinion from my Analyst on that statement and then go, can Selfmade even stop him?
That's a very good question, because honestly, I think these are the 2 best junglers in the league that we have right now. If you're a jungle fan or a jungle extraordinaire, this is the game to watch in the LEC. MVP to me is what a player brings to a team, and Malrang has brought life to Rogue. It really doesn't feel like Rogue's going to struggle at Rogue time anymore, because their playstyle is just different. They're not playing for winning lanes and playing for jungle with those winning lanes. They're playing for, well, we can draft a losing lane, but we have good setup. That'll give more CC from Malrang. That'll give setup from Malrang to get the team as a whole ahead.
It's such a distinct style, though, that we see from Malrang, right? Like, you look at his best CSD of 15, and it's minus
Negative,
13.
yeah.
And you're just like, this
but
is...
you contrast that to K plus A and kill participation.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean, is that, like, this is a style that works because it's on Rogue. Like, you've got 3 lanes that are absolutely incredible when you look at the star power that's there and their ability to carry a game. The reason Malrang, as you can see there, is able to play this style is because it allows them to set themselves up on the map, play towards where they're strong. And Malrang has an incredible understanding of where he needs to be positioned to support the moving pieces of Rogue. And that's why he has looked so good despite the CS difference.
It is not often that I get to make a bold statement and don't get instantly shot down. We're less than a minute away from jumping into one of the most exciting matches of the weekend. For one last time, I'm going to ask predictions, Rogue or Vitality?
I'm going to go for Vitality on this one, but all my predictions are always wrong. I think the most important thing to me this game isn't mid, it isn't top, it isn't the teams as a whole, it's the draft. I think coming down the draft, whoever's blue side already is favored. What OPs go through and how do they answer? Rogue have shown different styles. Vitality have also shown different styles. It's a case of Are you going to play for top? Are you going to play for front? I think both these teams are extremely versatile.
Yeah, I think if there's any jungler that's going to punish Malrang, it's going to be Selfmade, and I think that this could be the one where Vitality take it.
Okay, just so you guys know,
You can't keep getting the same one. We're going to have different ones. Man.
Selected blue, Rogue
I'm going
selected
Rogue.
blue.
I'm going Rogue.
I said Rogue
All
at the
right,
end of
get out
yesterday's
here.
show.
Didn't
We'll
want
see who's
you
going to be right. Will Rogue's historic run continue? Will Vitality make a statement with their 4th win in a row? Find out which team will ban Corki and truly won the offseason. Let's head to Coburg Dracos.
Why does he keep
Thank you
doing
very much. Shocks alongside Trouble and who was the other one on the desk? It was Lyric.
Dagda? Yeah, you can call Dagda.
We can call Dagda. That's true. Thank you so much, Dagda. You did a great job. The other two,
You need to work on it.
yeah,
Okay?
we'll have
Work
a
on
talk
it.
afterwards. You know. Anyway, big game. Rogue versus Vitality. Rogue, the only undefeated team left in the LEC, looking to be another Fnatic. You know, 18-0. We all hear the stories of that Fnatic lineup. Rogue, the furthest they have ever got to that is this season. This is the most games they have played without losing from the start of the season to now. Vitality, on the other hand, are bouncing back. Let's see if they can continue their winning ways. So Caedrel said that the team on blue side automatically is favored in the draft. He said the draft was the most important part of this game. Obviously, we'll watch the draft, we'll ask Caedrel who's going to win, and then we just won't watch the rest of the game. Right, Vedi?
True. That is how it works. I'm really curious as to what both these teams are going to prioritize. It seems that Diana continues to be a high priority ban in the current state of the game. Twisted Fate, Corki, all these champions still heavily, well, basically need to not be played. I didn't know how better to say that, but they generally, a lot of teams want to ban them. The Jace is also going to be removed. Not that uncommon for Rogue. Typically, they do ban this while they are on the blue side, even though Odoamne is a very proficient Jace player. And if anyone has ever watched his stream, he will always tell you that the best blind picks for top lane are both Jace and Akshan. So he's very confident in his blind Jace for sure. The gangplank respect over towards Alphari, I quite like to see. Alphari's really been the only one in our league that's been playing a lot of gangplank. It does very well into low mobile AD carries, which are very prevalent in the current meta right now. And I also just think that Alphari is a very good gangplank player. So makes a lot of sense with the Corki finally being removed. It does mean that Caitlyn is up and available, but I wouldn't be surprised if neither of these teams first picked it, because that's not really their style.
Jinx is something that comp has looked to quite often. Of course, Zin's still available as an option for Rogue if they want to lock that in, but instead, it's actually immediately going to be the Caitlyn here for comp in the bottom lane.
Cool. Well, I think that Caitlyn is a very powerful pick. You do have to enable it a little bit in the early game because, well, her biggest asset is her very strong, her large range, rather. She can harass you consistently throughout the laning phase. Typically, you want to pair her with something like a Lux or a Morgana, something that can basically synergize with her very well, because if a binding lands, she traps them. It's a lot of damage. And yeah, it's definitely very lethal. That is going to be a second pick LeBlanc.
Wow.
For Perkz.
Okay, I mean, Perkz, he's incredibly good at LeBlanc. We always talk about it. People remember the series versus RNG where he absolutely popped off on the champion. I did have a look at some of his numbers. 79% win rate on LeBlanc.
79?
Yeah, it's his
How many
third most played. 33 games. That's a scary proposition.
That is quite an impressive record throughout his entire career. Yeah, Perkz is quite a good LeBlanc player. I mean, in recent history, I believe it was the Rogue tiebreaker that he really popped off.
Darn you, Perkz!
Darn you, Perkz. Yep, indeed. And he's going to pair that up with a very powerful early game jungler in the form of the Zhao. This does mean that supports will likely be banned on the side of Rogue, things that could potentially deal or be annoying for the Lux to deal with. Meanwhile, Vitality, I expect them to start removing junglers away from Malrang, and the Trundle immediately going to be taken off the board. No real surprise. Trundle is very good into things like Zhao, especially when they will close the gap for you, and how much how obnoxious the pillar can be. So makes a lot of sense. Wouldn't also be surprised to see something like, well, actually, then maybe they won't ban the Jarvan, because against things like LeBlanc, Xin, Jarvan's not that great, and you may struggle if you actually find yourself in an early skirmish as well. So we'll have to wait and see what direction Malrang does choose to go. But we talked about supports being removed, and Rogue looks like they're going to continue that trend.
I expect a Thresh as a possible ban here from Rogue as well. Nautilus, Thresh, both strong laners, but Thresh also provides that safety for the Jinx that would allow Vitality to play a weak side bot lane, not put too much to focus on that, and have the Xin and the LeBlanc teaming up in the early game to get Perkz and Selfmade ahead. There's the Olaf ban by Vitality as well, so getting rid of another jungler. Could, of course, go top lane, but there's no Adam in this game, so expectations are that Olaf would usually be picked up by Malrang in the jungle.
Okay, well, so far, Rogue, they have a very strong bot side of the map. This does tend to suggest that they're leaning more towards a safe side top. You imagine that Vitality will look to lock in a Thresh right now, which does mean that Rogue will look to go for probably a weak side top, maybe even a blind Ornn. We have seen Odoamne do that before. Offers them a little bit more, well, it offers them engage, which right now is primarily what they're lacking. When you have things like the Caitlyn and Viktor, you have very long range, you put an Ornn on top of that, you have another long range engage, and there's just like basically a lot of team fight tools and a lot of utility. And the fact that Vitality are saving their top lane pick for last, you're just like, well, okay, we need to blind pick something safe. And unsurprisingly, we are going to see that safe tank top side for Odoamne.
Definitely hinted at by the Gwen ban as well, someone that can constantly harass the Ornn in lane, that can be a little bit difficult to deal with, that can get away from the ultimate. There is the Ornn for Odo, and now it's just a jungle left for Rogue. Malrang has been all about those ganks so far in the LEC Spring. The Jarvan, Zhao, Trundle, Lee Sin, all of these champions that can get in the midst of the action early on. Warwick doesn't do that as much, does obviously have the possibility of doing it, but I don't expect...
Have you seen Malrang's Warwick?
I have not, but have you seen his bear?
I have not.
The Volibear up in the top lane. Not in the top lane, in the jungle for Malrang.
Yeah. So I've been seeing in solo queue a lot of like Volibear tops.
Yeah, that's why
Not that many Volibear jungles, to be honest. I'm really excited to see this. Malrang has played a bunch of different junglers. The only jungler he's played twice was that Trundle. So the fact that he's bringing out another unique jungle pick just goes to show how deep his champion pool is. But you know that he's going to look to gank. That is the trend that you talked about, Medic. It is something that he's been doing a lot of. He was extremely proactive in their game against Fnatic yesterday, and I imagine he's going to look to do the same thing again today. I'm very excited to see him go up against Selfmade, who, alongside Perkz and Alphari, will likely be trying to play around this top side of the map with going for the Graves, the stronger scaling, good into the Ornn, very prevalent in a side lane. I know there's a lot of debate right now about how good Graves is as a champion. Obviously, he doesn't really offer a huge amount of utility, and very much a damage threat, but quite a lethal one. My only concern is his range. I'm not sure how he ever expects to get onto things like a Viktor or a Caitlyn with things like the traps and the zoning and the gravity well. There's so much zoning tools from Rogue. You add to that as well the Lux utility that she can provide. You're going to have to find very creative ways if you want to try and start a fight on Rogue, especially if you're not first on the objective.
It definitely feels like Vitality have gone for a more explosive, get ahead, keep the game rolling away from the opposition style, whereas Rogue have a more methodical style, which is not always what we've seen from them so far in Spring. They've been the quickest team in the LEC so far in Spring. Let's see if they can continue versus Vitality. Let's get right into it. So, Vedi, expectations. Very strong top side of the map for Vitality. Strong jungle mid duo in the form of the LeBlanc and the Zhao. Rogue likely to leave Odoamne a little bit alone unless they really want to put Alphari behind in the early game, and focusing more on getting this Caitlyn and Lux ahead.
Yeah, good job. What am I supposed to do now, Medic? Great. You just said all of my points.
I'm sorry, man.
You've cast with me for too long.
But they're all points you said in draft. I'm just reiterating them here. So.
I think the only thing I would add is that, like, I expect Selfmade to camp mid a lot. But let's have a look at this level 1 here. Cheeky Perkz. What is he up to?
Maybe just looking for a bit of
I
harass.
think
He has got the
have,
W.
I did miss how he got there. I was going to say, he must have started W, right? So what's he going to do exactly?
You're going to chain an Ornn? You can't do it, you haven't got it. Gets the ward down, we'll be able to spot out Malrang's initial pathing, and because Malrang has been so focused on ganking, so focused on getting his lanes ahead, understanding where he's starting and where he will be in the early game can be vital for you as a team. Perkz with the electrocute will win out on the damage trade in the mid lane. Aerie doing a little bit of work for Larssen as well. Both of them pop a corrupting potion, and both will be about the same level of HP at the end of it.
You know, if you want to get really deep in the lore, the fact that Perkz is using the IG skin, which when he played LeBlanc, it was RGE who he beat on LeBlanc to then lose to IG. There's many layers there, you know. Perkz has such a rich history. But we do have to do Perkz a favor. Okay. Because in week 1, you kind of did him dirty. Week 2...
He was very bad in week 1, I will stress that.
We had to talk about his stats. This is all of his stats, isn't it?
Well, no, there are more stats than this, but this is up until now. We don't only have 3 stats per player.
No, I meant these aren't just his week 2 stats,
No, this is the entirety of week 1 through yesterday.
Okay, so these stats are obviously hurt by the fact that his week 1 performance was not that strong.
He was 10th in everything in week 1.
He was 10th in everything. So due to averages, he was brought down. But his week 2 and week 3 performance, you can see how much they've actually been able to elevate him. And that just goes to show how impactful he actually was in week 2. So we had to do that for Perkz because he definitely has been playing significantly better compared to his week 1 performance, along with the rest of Vitality. And him being on his famous LeBlanc, it's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do and how well he can work with Selfmade.
Vitality have definitely come out storming after week 1. 3 wins in a row, looking to make it 4. Of course, Rogue on the other side. 6 games undefeated as Odo will get a Brittle proc here onto Alphari, but Alphari turns around the damage with the end of the line. Fleet footwork there, doing a lot of work for Alphari in the trades, healing him up, making it a bit more difficult for Odoamne to keep the sustain. But of course, Ornn can build items in lane, so should be able to get himself a little bit more tankiness in that lane with a cloth armor.
Interesting. Malrang's path was actually wolves into a bot side clear, into now the top scuttle.
Avoiding that ward.
Avoiding that ward entirely. So they don't actually have full information. The fact that the Raptors are gone, Selfmade did ward it. He should have some insight as to where this Volibear should be. But right now it's a little unclear as to where Malrang could be ganking. Currently only level 3. Selfmade, I expect to get level 4 after clearing this. Oh, my apologies. He didn't actually do his top Krugs, which means that he's still going to sit on level 3 for the time being. That extra, he's on 25 CS when he typically would be on 24. That's because he killed a control ward just outside of the red buff. So both junglers for now just clearing away. But props to Larssen. He is actually getting the better of Perkz in these trades. Often you'll see both these mid laners will go for the corrupting pot, so they have that extra bit of sustain. But Larssen really bullying out Perkz in the other laning phase there. Of course, just both going to exchange TPs, but he's just leveraging the additional damage from Aerie. As, ooh, Selfmade will get spotted out.
Yeah, that ward on the Krugs placed there by Malrang a few moments ago. Malrang now has got his first blue of the game. 4 minutes in, a little bit delayed, but as you said, has cleared out the majority of the rest of his camp, so those are leveling up.
Have a look at this. So at the highest level of play, pros notice the smallest things. And I think it was Alphari noticed, or at least someone on Vitality noticed, that the control ward on top had been spotted by the sight orb. Which means that suggests, oh, Malrang's probably in his topside jungle. So now they have information just because he propped that Scry's Bloom as to exactly where the jungler is and how to play around it. So small insight there, but it's these little things that pros really do notice that can actually be really detrimental, and you have to be like careful of, do you play around it? Do you actually use this right here, right now? Because you are going to give away that information. And you can see now, look, Comp and Trymbi looking to continue keeping that push up because they know their jungler's pathing towards them. Selfmade in the vicinity as well. TP going to be used by Odoamne, but Comp and Trymbi should feel safe with the support from their jungler.
Yeah, just trying to get that shove out. You can see Comp and Trymbi really haven't been under too much hurt at all down towards this bottom side. Still got double biscuits, double pots. Malrang just making sure that they were safe in pushing this out. Carzzy and Labrov had already had a reset, or at least Carzzy had, because he's got double longsword and the boots. I do want to, I mean, we talked a lot about Malrang, but I want to highlight just how good he has been playing so far in Spring Vedi. You can see leading the junglers in K+A, so that's kills and assists at the 15-minute mark. Highest jungle proximity of any jungler in our league as well, showing he gives up CS, he gives up camps to get ganks working. And although he hasn't had a purely like a kill gank so far, he is still helping his team get these pushes out. Now Larssen stepping forward a little bit, Labrov is here as well. There's a big wave building up for Larssen. He'll want to try and catch this underneath the tower. And with no TP, he wouldn't be able to get back here safely, so they just need to make sure this pushes in for him.
But this is also why the discussion from the Analyst desk was a lot around these junglers, seeing how Selfmade and Malrang compete against each other. High praise, of course, going to both of them with regards to their awareness of what's going on the map. And with the drafts that they have, two very aggressive junglers that can look to be very proactive on the map. I expected Vitality to heavily play through the mid lane. We haven't seen any ganks from Selfmade just yet. It's just been trading of camps across the board. Comp and Carzzy.
Yeah, Carzzy puts down the flame spitters, but it's just not going to be enough. Comp should just be able to kill this one off. Malrang's coming in for the chase as well. Carzzy tries to put the damage down, but can't flash away from Malrang. Right place, right time once again for the Rogue jungler.
I mean, Malrang didn't really do a lot there. That was just all Comp. Like, the fact that Comp was able to just bully Carzzy out, it's weird how Carzzy even found himself in that position. I'm hoping we can get a bit of a replay and some insight into that, because obviously neither support was there. Comp was able to, like, zone him out using his traps, basically cutting off his escape route. Carzzy didn't want to burn the flash. They end up trading heals, and then Carzzy just ends up losing his life. So, so he's backing it, but he cancels it to go for this trade. And then look at this use of the traps from Comp. He just cuts off his escape route, hits him with the E. That gives him the empowered auto, which is what allows him to come out on top. Comp also sidesteps the W from Carzzy. And even though Carzzy uses the heal, I think for safety, and actually Comp was getting hit by the minions there, so I think he was a little worried about with the fully stacked lethal tempo, and Carzzy,
It could have just been an auto attack and some minions.
So he was like, I'm not going to risk it, I'm just going to give my kill over towards the jungler, and to be honest, with Volibear gets that first blood, not the end of the world. So, bit of a blunder there from Carzzy, wanted to catch that wave, ends up getting punished for it, and Comp comes out on top.
And Rogue, because of it, only about a 300 gold lead, but it's a nice enough advantage for them to have around the 8-minute mark, especially with how good Vitality have been in the early game across the last couple of weeks. Actually, probably our best team early game-wise over weeks 2 and 3. Huge gold lead. I mean, 2.6k is absolutely gargantuan. First tower in 100% of their games. K divided by D, that is kills divided by deaths, so they're getting 1.5 kills for every death that they have in the early game as well. And there's another death for them. No kills yet, but Perkz just locked out.
That's going to hurt that stat,
yes,
isn't it,
Medic? Yes, it is.
Just as you bring that stat up, Larssen and Trymbi are able to find a pick. And like we wanted to talk about Vitality early game, but now we've got to talk about Rogues. You talked about how they are the fastest team in the league right now. A large part of how they get the early advantage is actually just Trymbi roaming a lot more and working with Malrang. Something that he said in an interview was that with Inspired, he felt like that they had to, flash in.
Flay, Hook's already down. Larssen's down as well, though. Vitality able to answer with the kill in the mid lane.
Good revenge there from Labrov. He's able to make a flash play of his own, and he catches Larssen off guard. Of course, Larssen flashed over the wall to get that kill onto Perkz, which meant that Labrov could set up that play for Selfmade. They do commit a couple flashes, but they do get a return kill. Will be exchanged. I imagine that Vitality will get the Drake off the back of this in exchange for this Herald. But good to see a bit more action early on, get to see a little bit more of the supports getting involved. But yeah, really what we've been seeing is Trymbi works a lot more with Malrang than I think he ever did with Inspired in the past, and that's why we've been seeing so much more of this proactive ganking style Rogue compared to what we saw last year, which was a lot more about lane control. But now Malrang's looking for another gank.
Alphari does have the flash, but doesn't dodge away from the Forge God himself. Odoamne takes the kill. Malrang was there and helped out a little bit, but wasn't really required apart from the stun.
Some cool Ornn mechanics there. Odoamne applied the Brittle passive with his W, flash to proc it to more reliably land the ult, and now Perkz has found a support.
One chain, one kill. That's the life of support when there's a LeBlanc on the enemy team.
Pretty sure any caster has said this, but LeBlanc's specialty is making things disappear, and he just showed that to Trymbi. I don't think you understood the joke because you're not laughing, so I just wanted to explain, because Perkz is playing LeBlanc, who's a magician.
Oh, is she?
And so she makes things like disappear, kind of like her passive, you know, she turns into two, like a clone, you know, so it's all about deception, and so then when he killed Trymbi, who then disappeared, you see, Betty. It was funny, you see. Yeah, that's a good one. Glad you like that. So now the Dragon being started up by Selfmade, off the back of getting that small numbers advantage and the prio that they had around this bot side of the map, means that they could very easily secure that one. I'm curious as to what Malrang is looking to do with this ultimate. Right now, they're hovering around mid. Look at all this vision investment towards the bot side of the map from Vitality, using that very brief window that they had to secure some of these wards around the Raptors and around the Krugs, just to get a little bit more insight on the bot of the map. off the back of Perkz' initial pick. And you're going to be seeing this a lot, where teams are able to move into the enemy jungle, getting that insight, getting that information on what the enemy jungler is up to is very valuable in being able to control the early game.
It definitely is, and if Rogue can get vision around there as well, it allows Comp and Trymbi to push forward. Nice use of the 90 caliber net just to jump over the Flame Chompers there. Second plate, a possibility for Comp, but instead he focuses on harassing Carzzy. Hex Flash, there's a Lantern, there's a Selfmade, and Trymbi's going to pull a Houdini because once again he will disappear. Perkz, the Magician, removes him from the map.
He certainly does, and I like the fact that Vitality feed that kill over to Perkz. Selfmade could have secured it, but no, they want to make sure that their mid lane assassin is able to get more gold, get more kills, and become a greater threat. Another big pick onto Trymbi, and all of a sudden the gold is equalized. Vitality showcasing that, hey, okay, you got a couple of early kills, we made a couple blunders, but we're immediately back on the map, and a lot of it coming off the back of this duo of Labrov and Selfmade. So Vitality closing that gold gap, and they're effectively even at this point in the game.
Yeah, very close game between these two teams so far. Larssen continues to farm up in the mid lane, was winning the early trades, but Perkz, after getting those Sork boots, has just been unleashed a little bit more on the map, has been, as you say, gifted over a couple of kills by his team, and it's obviously a lot harder for Viktor to have that same impact on the map. Very good at clearing out waves, but not too good at moving around to the same degree as a LeBlanc. First tower of the game. There's the root, though, and Malrang's on the chase. The tower not quite dead yet. Comp will take it. Mana for Ace in the hole. Just enough. Malrang once again gets the kill.
Wow, good pick there from Trymbi. It feels like that both supports are just eyeing each other, because every time they're in that slide overstep, they immediately get punished. And you'll see this, just a really good binding from Trymbi. Lands it onto Labrov, was not expecting it, and then the full combo comes through. The Q from the Caitlyn, the flash, E, stun from Malrang. I think that ideally they wanted to hand that one over to Comp.
He was trying to, but the E, I think...
Yeah, the ult didn't quite do enough damage from Comp, which meant that the E actually ended up picking it up. So Rogue now, once again, reclaim control over the gold lead after securing that bot tower. Now we get to see this Caitlyn start moving around, and this is a great position for Rogue to be in. Odoamne has the safety of his tower in the bot lane still. Meanwhile, they can leverage the range of this Caitlyn to keep sieging, poking away at these towers, and with the plates falling soon and night, well, they can get one more for Comp, but even if they don't, it's fine. She's going to start chipping away at these towers around the map.
So one of the powers of Caitlyn is just, as soon as you get that first tower, you are so unleashed across the map. Makes it so much easier for you to siege, so much easier for you to chip away at some of these turrets. That will be a plate in the mid lane for Larssen. Just gets it. Labrov caught with a final spark. Malrang will be able to force him away. Does still have the Stormbringer, that Volibear ultimate, if they do want to look for a dive, but two more plates in the top lane over to Rogue. I mean, they are now 2,000 gold ahead as the plates fall off.
I like how Rogue are moving around the map right now. They're doing a great job pushing in mid, knowing that they have the pushing top as well. Vitality's a little late to match, given that Rogue was ahead in the play. And that means they're able to get a little bit of deep vision up towards the top side of Vitality's jungle. It's not really going to result in a huge amount, aside from the fact that Rogue continues to extend their gold lead and good control overall from Rogue. Remember that when we look at compositions, ideally Vitality really wanted to attack this mid lane. They wanted to try and get this LeBlanc ahead, which, to be fair, they have done a good job of. Perkz is continuing to ramp up, will continue to get stronger. But the problem is that this scaling teamfight element of Rogue's comp is, well, they're ahead in gold. They know that when the Drakes come round and the 5v fights happen, when you have this much zone control with the Caitlyn traps, with the Lux potential bindings, like, someone's going to have to face check, right?
Who's it going to be?
Someone's going to have to walk into this Rogue comp, and who wants to walk into the Ornn Volibear? Any volunteers? Anyone want to raise their hand? Because, you know, both of them are gods of the Freljord.
Trymbi, well, Perkz just flashed the binding, and Trymbi pays for it with his life. Gravity Well coming down, we'll get the stun onto Selfmade, does a fancy pose. Looking for a modeling position, perhaps, but another kill onto Trymbi there. Just a little bit out of position, didn't realize he was on vision, and now we're going to see a fight in the top lane and a fight in the mid. Perkz dashing forward onto Larssen. Meanwhile, on the top side, Malrang goes in with a Stormbringer, actually dashes out with it. Larssen caught out with Alphari, he'll take the kill. Carzzy stepping in, rooted on the spot, stepped on a trap, and Selfmade's here waiting for the kill. Wind becomes lightning, and Volibear goes back to the fountain.
And just like that, Vitality have woken up. That 2k gold gap has disappeared as they find picks across the board. Perkz flashing over the binding, finding another pick onto Larssen. Selfmade is looking for blood.
Labrov has Lantern here, so Vitality can get Selfmade out of here. Just wanted a little bit more of a trade. Mid lane tower goes down. Call of the Forge God used as well, and there's a blast coming for Comp. Hook onto the Rift Herald will pull Labrov into the waiting arms of Comp. Selfmade tries to trade it back. Trymbi realizes he didn't need to be involved anymore. It's 2 kills now over to the Rogue bot laner. A shutdown for him as well.
Bear in mind, Comp is level 11. He spent a lot of this game by himself, basically getting solo XP, and now he's a higher level than Selfmade is. The fact that he also got that shutdown means that he's going to be in a very powerful position, and he's going to have to be one of the key carries that we keep track of, who really has been one of the key carries for Rogue in many of their victories so far this split. While Malrang often sets them up, it is Comp that often swings the bat. So we'll keep an eye on him as the game progresses on this Caitlyn.
And for Rogue fans, it's such an encouraging sight to see that over the course of not just 1 week, but 3 weeks so far, their new players have really been a driving force for the lineup. Because in off-season, you looked at Inspired leaving, you looked at Han Summer leaving, and the majority consensus was Rogue have downgraded in this off-season.
Sure.
Rogue will not be as strong as they were in 2021, but now they have come out the strongest team in the LEC so far. This a proving weekend for them, I think, with the Fnatic game yesterday and this game today. And if they come out of this continuing undefeated, I think Rogue have to be looked at as frontrunners for at least the regular season.
Well, Vitality have the same point to prove. They started with 0-3, and they haven't lost a game since. And I think that for many, this is also a proving opportunity for them. If they can take down the undefeated team in the LEC, that's going to be huge for morale and also the expectations for this team. And they definitely haven't given up. The game is still in a very even state for the time being. LeBlanc has decided to go for the Liandry's build, so you will have that additional haste, that extra bit of burn, a little bit more in terms of poke, a little bit less in terms of overall burst compared to something like the Liandry's. But you imagine that Perkz will start looking to go into a side lane, start trying to leverage this fog of war, really start to see the menace that is LeBlanc as we move into the mid-game. Meanwhile, Alphari continues to sit in a side lane, and we're kind of approaching that point where Odoamne won't be able to hold him as effectively as he could earlier, and Alphari's going to have a lot more agency in the 1v1.
You can see where the gold really lies for Rogue. 8.89, 8.9k now for Comp. Everyone else is behind. There's a 1,100 gold difference in the top lane, apart from supports, of course, 300 in the mid lane. Ooh, that was a nice little binding there from Trymbi, but Perkz is able to dodge away from it. It just means that if Comp dies, this Rogue lineup is very much on the ropes, but so far, he's done a very good job of keeping alive, and as you've said a few times, Vedi, it's very hard for Vitality to catch him out if he is behind his front line.
Well, I imagine that Vitality will do exactly what they're doing right now. Start splitting up the map, start playing through their side lanes a little more, leave Carzzy in mid, and you'll have this roaming duo of Selfmade and Labrov consistently clearing out vision, which I'm going to quickly draw our attention to once again because there are wards littered all over the map right now. You can see control wards invested from Rogue towards the top side, pretty deep. Meanwhile, the exact same from Vitality towards the bot side, trying to give this protection for Alphari, who's continuing to push in. But as the ebb and flow of the game, as people reset, retreat, and repeat back into the lanes, that vision is going to consistently shift. And Rogue, giving that earlier reset, means that they will now have prio over this mid wave. They have the Herald, and they should be able to secure this objective.
And Perkz does have teleport. Alphari has joined the action from the bottom side as well, but the Rift Herald charge will get one down. Ace in the hole used there. Only catches out Labrov. Call of the Forge God coming out from Rogue as well. They're looking for Labrov, who will flash away. Final spark. Chaos Storm. The damage on Carzzy is absolutely absurd. Now the TPs come in from Vitality. Alphari's looking for the damage onto Odo. Perkz knows he's on the control wall. Pops the sweeper as well, just in case. Who will face check? No one. Perkz teleported in, was able to save his AD carry and his support, but Rogue are unrelenting, continuing to step forward. Alphari under the tower. Malrang dives into the Sky Splitter, and that's 2 towers in the mid lane for Rogue.
So what we're seeing here is Rogue recognize that if they go for early skirmishes, they're going to lose, which is why they didn't really try and contest any of the Drakes. Excuse me, more often than not, they actually just tried to trade them for the Heralds. the reason why Heralds are important, especially for a more scaling comp, is because, oh, it funnels more money into your carries, which you're playing for the later stage anyway. So that money is more valuable than the Drakes when you know you'll reach a certain point where you can actually start contesting Drakes. When you look across the itemization, a lot of it is being completed for the side of Rogue. And Vitality, Perkz hitting level 14 there is a very big deal because he has 2 levels over Larssen as we see another skirmish pick off.
Malrang has Stormbringer, can jump away, does it to the Blast Cone. Super Mega Death Rocket will find its mark, but will not find the damage to take down the bear. Odoamne, though, yeah, you lose in a side lane now to Alphari. Lord Dom's end of the line, Odo. And the collateral damage used as a final cherry on top.
Odo did have flash, but he decided not to use it, thinking that he could get an outplay that onto Alphari. Alphari now hitting level 14 as well, and you're really seeing these side laners come to fruition, using the power that they have in sides in order to search for these picks and then convert it into an objective. And this is exactly how Vitality want to play this comp. It's great because we're kind of seeing good execution from both sides on their primary win conditions. Vitality needed to leverage their early prio to secure these early Drakes so that they had a very clear win condition into the mid game. You also want to try and leverage the fact that, hey, you have strong side laners funnel gold into them. Well, Alphari gets a free laning phase because he's playing into Ornn. He's now at 230 CS.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the mid, they just funneled kills onto Perkz. A lot of them were found onto Trymbi, admittedly, but he was still getting kills nonetheless, which means that he now has a level advantage over Larssen. Alphari has a level advantage over Odoamne. Selfmade has a level advantage over Malrang, and Carzzy and the bot lane is overall pretty even, which is exactly where they want to be. So even though things overall look good for Rogue in terms of their scaling comp, they need team fights. They need Vitality to come and fight them in the conditions that they create for themselves. Meanwhile, Vitality are looking for these skirmishes. They're looking for picks. They're looking to leverage these side lanes where they can collapse, take advantage of numbers, and leverage their mobility and dueling prowess to kind of pick Rogue apart and then convert that into an advantage. So you have this cool clash of comps. Both teams are executing upon them. They recognize their win conditions, and now it just comes down to execution. Who can pull off their comp better?
Should be looking for a little bit of poke onto Alphari. We'll see as Labrov and Alphari team up, push forward here. Larssen backed away from the tower, gave it up, knew that he was at a man disadvantage off towards this top side. We'll say Crown of the Shattered Queen now complete on Lux. On Trymbi, means that he is a little bit less susceptible to getting one-shot by a LeBlanc. Third Dragon of the game, first for Rogue, but that also means Vitality no longer on a soon Soul point. You know, we're waiting at least 10 minutes before Infernal Soul is an option for them. So, again, the pendulum swings, the back and forth between these two teams, the stylistic differences coming to the fore, and Rogue will use their time to push into this jungle.
So I just look at the map state real quick. You'll notice bot wave is pushing in, Larssen has caught top, and they're going to have prio over mid. This could be a window where Rogue actually used the Baron to force a fight, given that Vitality wasn't interested in coming to fight them for the third Drake. But Selfmade has managed to make his way into the river. We're now seeing a collective in the mid lane. Could this be the fight? No, Vitality, they're just going to disengage. They're just going to wait for now. You notice that Perkz was actually moving for a flank. He was looking for that group in mid lane from Rogue so that he could come over the wall, maybe find a pink, maybe chunk a Rogue member out before Vitality actually went for a fight, but nothing's going to come of it. So there's just a standoff between the two teams right now. As teams reset, they go and catch their waves, and now they're going to go spend their gold, and the dance begins anew.
The difficulty for Rogue, of course, is finding an engage when you want it isn't the easiest onto this Vitality lineup. You've got Thresh Lantern, you've got Perkz who can jump away, you've got Crescent Guard coming out from the Zhao, you've got Alphari who can dash away. It's not the simplest of engage opportunities, but of course Trymbi could find a pick with the light binding. You could have a Call of the Forge God across multiple members burning their flashes. It's always this back and forth, it's ebb and flow. Makes it very difficult for Rogue to find exactly what they're looking for.
The best thing to do is just keep your eyes on the minimap, because right now there is no dragon alive. This means that Rogue could use the Baron as a means to force a fight if they wanted to. But from Vitality's perspective, they're fine just having their two solo laners continue to get gold in a side lane. Keeping these waves pushed in, because it means that if they keep the waves pushed in, Rogue has to catch the waves, and while they're catching, that is the window that Vitality can use to look for a pick or an opportunity.
And I do wonder now if Rogue, with this Infinity Edge complete on comp, will pull the trigger on calling out Vitality. Maybe they were waiting for that third item, that spike in damage for the Caitlyn. Trymbi looking for the binding, but can't quite find it onto Labrov. Rogue are setting up vision control around this. There is a ward actually behind them. near where the top lane tower once stood that Alphari could TP to. It's just about to expire though. Now Alphari continues to battle with Odoamne down towards the bottom side. Selfmade gets away with the lantern. Once again, the engage not really there for Rogue if Odo isn't there. The Call of the Forge God is their primary engage tool unless they manage to land a binding.
For now, both teams happy to maintain the status quo. No one being sent to the top lane. Perkz has hit level 15, and you'll notice Vitality continue to maintain these level advantages. You know, it's funny because one of the comments that I consistently see for Alphari is he never converts his lane leads to like team leads.
So just
right?
never leave lane.
That's what I was going to say. Well, why don't you just keep him in lane forever? If he just gets to play in the 1v1 all day, then he gets to use as many advantages as he wants. But he is level 16 at whole 2 levels over Odoamne. He must be sitting on so much gold. And look, you'll notice this is another tactic you can use with like these more split push comps. You have someone shadow you or you have someone play with you. Vitality back in the day was an organization that actually popularized this with Jizuke and Cabo Shards, where Jizuke would shadow on the rise while looking for a pick. And now the chain has landed, but they're not going to commit.
Final Spark plays out the wave. Alphari looking to put the damage down. Perkz actually quite low here. Call of the Forge God is an option for Odo, but not the easiest target to catch. Selfmade going in here for the 1v1. TP immediately from Odo. Chaos Storm going down onto Selfmade. Crescent Guard. Selfmade pops the stopwatch. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't find it mark. Comp was able to pick up a kill in the red side jungle, and with the ace in the hole coming in, it's a double for Comp.
Wow, that's a really big deal because with Selfmade dead, they could look to force the Baron. Larssen has the teleport. Alphari is continuing to push in bot, but Rogue know that they have the numbers advantage, and this is the window that they've been looking for to push the game in their favor.
Interested. Trymbi, Alphari was about to start his back. He hasn't had a chance to recall yet, and Trymbi is just playing nuisance, a thorn in the side of Alphari. Alphari still hasn't got to back, and he knows if he goes for the TP, he's going to get bound to the spot. Alphari will not be able to join this fight because Trymbi stayed at the bottom side. Rogue secure the Baron. Obviously, killing Selfmade, killing Labrov helped out a ton, but you got to highlight what Trymbi did there to Alphari.
I mean, yes, very crucial. I would say, though, that those kills are probably a little more important. So let's have a look back at this exchange. So Perkz gets chunked out. He's still continuing to duel on the bot side. Selfmade has seen Larssen. He thinks this is an easy target for us to get a kill. But Larssen does a great job of buying time. Labrov just gets caught out in the rotation. He's trying to offer assistance in the jungle. Meanwhile, they get collapsed on. This TP from Odo was really insane. Yeah. Just at the speed at which he was doing it and the fact that there was so much pressure on the bot side of the map as well. The fact that he was able to find a window to do this and convert it into a double kill for Comp. Really good execution overall from Rogue. Important to note that the gold's still very even. Vitality did put themselves at soul point, so as long as they can hold the line, there's still a very clear way for Vitality to win this game, but with the Baron buff, Rogue can begin their siege, and now Vitality must play to the beat of their drum.
Perkz gets level 16 in a side lane. He continues to push out towards the bottom side. Larssen pushing in top wave, not synced at the moment with this mid wave from Rogue. The root on Odoamne as he steps onto the Flame Chompers means the Call of the Forge God will not be used, and Odo doesn't have TP, he's down to half HP. LeBlanc still continues to push in. Selfmade dives forward, Crescent Guard into the Lantern gets him out. Perkz still in a side lane, still haranguing the Rogue base, and Rogue didn't get an inhibitor tower, didn't get any damage down on it. Perkz will get an inhibitor tower out of Rogue's Baron buff, and Rogue will only get a tier 2 in the top lane.
Wow, good. I mean, ultimately a bit of a blunder there from Odoamne. The fact that his ultimate didn't come through is going to be such a powerful zoning tool in order to either force Vitality back or even allow Rogue to find a teamfight underneath the tower. Remember, Malrang's ultimate could just completely mitigate that tower if you wanted to, so the threat of a dive was very real, but simply because Odoamne's ultimate got interrupted, they couldn't commit to the siege, and Vitality actually found a window where they could force a fight as Perkz continued to push in the bot lane, almost got himself an inhibitor, which would have been a really big deal, but isn't quite able to secure it. So the game remains close. The gold very clearly in favor of Rogue for the time being, but both teams playing very well. It's a very enjoyable game to watch. Not the highest in terms of kills, but it's, from my perspective, it's a really great showing of what the top end is capable of, you know? Very clear idea of the win conditions. We're not really seeing, like, we are seeing a couple mistakes here and there like that. The rotation from Labrov, he ended up getting caught out. If he doesn't die, maybe there's a window where, like, Vitality is able to hold off on the Baron secure, but overall, I've been really enjoying the level of play that we've been seeing from both teams. Carzzy, that's all.
What was that? That's Greek sniper level of damage coming out from Comp. Odoamne forced away by Perkz, but the Call of the Forge God will find it's just a little bit wide. Chaos Storm not enough. Final Spark dodged away, but Comp and Malrang able to push in the mid lane inhibitor tower. Alphari the one splitting this time. No TP on him though, so they know he's not going to be here soon. And although the Baron's expired, Rogue have found what they were looking for off that buff. 2 inhibitor towers, and inhibitor Selfmade diving in has to just back away immediately. Alphari still yet to complete his recall back. Will Rogue go for one more inhib? There's the option. There's the opportunity, and they continue to step forward. Odoamne has teleport. Comp chunked out to half. And you think after that, Rogue will give up the ghost on this one. They back away from the inhibitor, but they do take mid and the inhibitor tower.
In a front-to-back situation like that, Vitality is heavily outranged, and Rogue is going to take advantage of that. They want that inhibitor down. Odoamne is going to TP back into the lane. They have a wave on the way. Mid continues to push. Odoamne's ultimate is going to be up very soon.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of damage. Chunking Perkz out before the fight can really kick off.
Alphari and Perkz have been in side lanes a lot of this game. They have farmed, they have farmed, they have farmed, but right now they cannot find the fight. They cannot find the opportunity to get on the Rogue backline. And this front-to-back composition from Rogue have now begun to raise the Vitality base. 2 inhibitors down, a minute 20 on the Infernal Soul for Vitality. Perhaps there they can set up vision, they can find a flank for LeBlanc, find a flank for the Graves to really get on towards this Caitlyn. And even then, look at Larssen, Valée. Look at this Rabadon's Death Cap, upgraded Luden's Echo, Banshee's Veil. That is going to be a very difficult Viktor to kill, and a very high DPS Viktor as well.
Yeah, well, Rogue is definitely in the late game. Vitality's really trying to leverage the fact that they can find picks, and you'll see Perkz doing this a lot, trying to move into the fog of war, while Comp just continues to throw his ultimate out to basically say, hey, I'm going to take a chunk of your HP just to be annoying. He's probably not going to continue to focus Carzzy because he does have some lifesteal now.
Just a little bit, yeah.
He's probably going to likely throw that onto someone like Perkz or Labrov to just chunk them out before a fight kicks off. But huge props to Comp this game. He's basically been playing the lane, well, 1v2, a lot of roams from Trymbi. Trymbi has also been caught out a lot in the early game, and he's done a spectacular job. Really, really spectacular. Really has been filling the shoes of Han Summer quite comfortably, especially when you think about the fact that this guy wasn't even on a team last split. Comp definitely proving himself on the LEC stage, and Rogue proving themselves. They're likely going to secure themselves their second dragon of the game. Malrang going to use his E to inspect if anyone might be sneaking behind. But no, with 2 waves pushing in, Vitality are going to lose this. And this will be another dragon going in favor of Rogue. So now Rogue are just going to wait for the Baron to spawn, which will be very, very soon. And you can see Vitality doing what they can to gain control over this area of the map in this window that Rogue is doing the Baron. So you'll notice, as I bring up the minimap once more, all these little bits of vision being set up here, the control ward, the blue buff being stolen away, basically all of it to deny Rogue easy access into the river, and at the very least, as Rogue then come to sweep all this vision out, Vitality will have some information at the very least.
Difficulty, of course, for Vitality is those inhibitors still remain down for the next 2 minutes. 3 minutes for the bottom lane, and it allows Rogue the time to step forth into this Baron area.
Oh.
Ward stays, Malrang. It's like, nope, control ward down. We'll get that one as well. Trymbi only catching one of the 4 wards in the area will mean that it's going to be a little bit delayed for Rogue, but they can just pull the trigger. They can say 2 super minions in the bottom lane, super minions pushing in the mid lane. Just come and fight us. We have a 5-item Caitlyn. What do you got? My arcane character is better than yours at the moment, it seems, for Vitality, for Rogue. Comp, though, is a Jinx with 4 items in his back pocket. So, sorry, Carzzy, the Jinx with 4 items in his back pocket, so he can do a lot of work. But here comes the Call of the Forge. God, Carzzy steps forward. Gonna hit up 3. Final spark used as well. Ace in the hole will hit Selfmade. Chunked out Vitality, as you say.
It gives them control over the mid wave, and it basically forces Vitality into an awkward position. Top is pushing, bot is pushing, mid is pushing, and Rogue is now going to start off the Baron. Look at their damage from Larssen as well, using the Fog of War beautifully. But now look at this zone control that they can create with the Caitlyn traps, with the Viktor W. Things are too difficult for Vitality. This is going to be a Baron for Rogue.
Alphari's going to be in a 1v5 in just a moment. Pops the stopwatch, but surrounded by Rogue, shut down by Larssen. Rogue get the Baron. 2 inhibitors already down for them. Double TPs available as well. They can look to go through the top lane and close this one out.
Cleanly executed there by Rogue. Great utilization of the Ornn ultimate to gain control over mid, and then Larssen leveraging the Fog of War to just chunk Selfmade out. You can see that Alphari's play, it looks kind of in, but it's really just desperation. They're at a point where they need to do something, otherwise they're just going to lose the game.
That's what Selfmade's trying to do. Jump in, gets onto Larssen, but the final spark from Trymbi is going to do a lot. GA popped on Selfmade. Malrang keeping Labrov, Perkz, and Carzzy all at bay. Another kill to Comp as he goes unstoppable. Call of the Forge God will land onto Carzzy. He's down as well. Comp continues to take names, shuts down his opposite man, takes down the Nexus turrets, and Rogue, with this win, solidify themselves as the best team in the LEC.
Wow, what an incredible split so far from Rogue. 7-0. 2 more wins and they will have beaten every single team in the LEC in the first half of the regular season. You know, they were always known as the regular season kings, the best at best of one, but like this feels like another level right now. The level of consistency, the drafting, the execution. I don't think anyone expected this level of Rogue to be seen, but they're an exciting team to watch for sure.
They definitely are. Great performance by them all around. Vitality, they played to their game plan. Obviously, the early game wasn't quite as explosive as perhaps they would have liked, but they got Perkz kills, they got Alphari ahead. They just weren't able to translate it against the teamfight composition into late game leads.
It was really just that single play where Comp got that double kill and then the Baron was secured by Rogue. That was really the moment that broke open the whole game. And like at this level of play, those small decisions is really what swings it.
That's all it takes. Key player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter. Odoamne, Malrang, and Comp. Ender will be very happy because Odo's on the list.
But give it to Comp. Comp should be the
Comp
guy.
had such a good performance this game. And it's not just one of those games where, you know, he was buoyed up by his team. He actually played mechanically incredibly well as well. Now, after the break, we'll be joined by Trymbi to talk about Rogue 7-0 start and preview the match of the week between Fnatic and G2.
With Wunder coming to us now, I think the rivalry got another layer to it because finally Fnatic got a player from D2 and not the other way around.
Oh my god, the footwork! Oh! Are they gonna get him? No! Wunder! You god amongst men!
He's not always in his top pick.
I mean, if he plays all the mechanically hard champs, I might probably just laugh at him when he ganks my lane.
They're forced to try and take this tower, but it's Jankos from behind!
This is the beginning of a new chapter for both of these teams.